Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dreams of owning a home or investing in one. Well, guys, it is with great sadness that young Cheese, who's Gillie da Kid's son, has passed away. My condolences go out to the family, friends, fans, and all those who are suffering right now, who are in pain. My heart does truly go out to you because I know that even though I'm not necessarily too familiar with you guys as far as the music is concerned, I know how hard it is to lose a child at such an early age because it's a drain mentally, spiritually, you know, on you and everyone else that's affected. With that being said, though, I wanted to address a lot of the rumors, a lot of the speculations, and certain things that have been said. First off, I kind of have a problem with the fact that a lot of things were said before he was even buried into the ground. Guys, we need to be a little bit more empathetic and show some respect. That's my opinion, right? But I feel as though as a community, we need to just, in order to improve the world that we live in, just some basic common respect is what we need to show our fellow man. Okay? That's first and foremost. But the specific thing that I wanted to address are those who have stated that, well, what was he doing in the hood? If he wasn't in the hood, this would not have happened to him. That's the part that I want to address. That's the part that is an issue. All right. And then many of you, of course, some of it I kind of understand a little bit, particularly those of you who say, well, because Gillie makes so much money, why is any of his family in the hood? Okay. First and foremost, the money that Gillie da Kid makes, that's his money. That's not everybody else's money. That's not his family's money, right? Number two, young Cheese was 25 years old, so he was a grown man. It's not like he's a little boy. At that point, all a father can do is give advice to his son, right? He can't force his son to go wherever the son wants to go. You know, it's not like he was 5. If he was 5, that would have been a different story. He's 25. Not only that, he is a 25-year-old man who has a son himself, right? So again, he has the right, young Cheese has the right to make his own decisions. You don't know. Maybe Gillie da Kid did say to his son, hey, come live with me in, because Gillie da Kid has homes in New York, Los Angeles, and Miami. So maybe he did say something to that effect. And maybe young Cheese just didn't want to go down that route. I was listening to an interview, his last interview, I believe it was, where young Cheese, he pretty much was saying that, he wanted to make it on his own. He didn't necessarily, from what I listened to, he didn't really want to ride his father's coattails like that. He wanted to put in the work and do the work, right? Philadelphia, that's where he was born. He did do like a lot of the music and whatever that he produced. That was done in New York. All of New York, by the way, is not always safe either. But Philly was where his heart was. Philly is the place that he loved, right? He also mentioned in the interview that he didn't really plan on staying in Philly too long. After he gets his hit, and hopefully before his son turned 2 years old, his plan was to leave Philly and go live somewhere else. So that to me alone just squashes everything. But before he left Philly, he said that he wanted to put money into Connie Mack Park. Now, I don't know about the park. I know that there's Connie Mack Stadium, and I know he was talking about the leagues. So I don't know if that's a Philly lingo, if that's, what they call Connie Mack. Yes, I've been to Philly. I got family in Philly and all of that, but there are certain lingos that they have that we don't use here in New York. So I'm not sure if if he's talking about the same thing. But he had said that he did want to revamp that part of Philly. And I also know that Gillie da Kid, his father, has put a lot of money in Philly, has charities in Philly to help locals there. So let's put some of those rumors. There were some rumors that they don't give back, and that's definitely not true. It's documented that they do, in fact, give back, all right? The other thing I wanted to say, too, as far as people trying to hold Gillie da Kid responsible for Young Cheese still being in North Philly, still being in the hood, if you will, and going back to the hood. Some parents have teenagers, and they'll tell their teenagers, don't go here, don't go there. What happens? Their teenagers sneak out of the house and go there anyway. So it's not easy being a parent, and I don't think that it is fair, in my mind, in my opinion, to put any blame on Gillie da Kid. Let's also remember or realize that that son that was born and raised in North Philly, he did not live in the same household as Gillie da Kid. From my understanding, they lived in separate households. Gillie da Kid was still his father and still did what he needed to do to take care of him. He still acknowledged that Gillie da Kid was his father. But in listening to the interview, you could tell that they didn't always live in the same location, right? So again, be careful with your assumptions and with your words. Plus, I'm going to tell you like this. Like most people who live in the United States, New York, yes, I have famous people in my family, or people who at one point acquired fame. They always come back to where they live. It's natural. Why? Your family lives there. So if your family lives there, of course you're going to come back and visit your family. That is natural. That happens. Okay? So I wanted, excuse me, I wanted to address that. The other issue that I wanted to address is the fact that, there's been a push lately about, invest in the hood, buy the block. And then when people do invest in the hood, and when they do buy the block back, if anything negative happens to them, then it's like, oh, well, why are you here? Oh, see, that negative thing happened to you because you're here. And I kind of feel like, you know what, you guys need to make up your mind. Do you want people to invest in the hood or don't you? Does that mean that all the charities should be taken away that are here, and then the people who are in the hood can't take advantage or can't get up on the advice or food or clothing because it's in the hood. Like, to me, make that make sense. Excuse me, losing my voice a little bit. But yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way. Now, speaking to a friend, and what he mentioned was the fact that people were saying, well, the crime issue, the fact that, oh, because it happened in the hood, it's to be expected. Here's the thing. Crimes happen everywhere, not just in the hood. Look at LL Cool J, Michael Jackson, P. Diddy, Rihanna, right? All of them got robbed, and they didn't get robbed when they were in the hood. Their houses got robbed. Their fancy houses in those nice, rich neighborhoods got broken into. Well, with Michael Jackson, I don't believe it was a robbery. Those women just wanted to be next to him. And I'm pretty sure that he's not the only one that has had that issue. But then let's also go back in time, go back in history. I'm going to go way back before some of you was probably even born. John Lennon, he's a Beatle. He was gunned down right before his apartment building in Manhattan in the Upper West Side. That is not the hood. And he was not killed by somebody from the hood either. All right. The next person, Larry Flint. He was killed going to the courthouse. The courthouse was not located in the hood. He again was not killed by somebody from the hood, right? Bob Marley was shot in his home in Jamaica. Then you have Andy Warhol, who was shot in his studio, Midtown Manhattan. That is definitely not the hood. I work in Midtown. I know what I'm saying. All right. So to say that it happened because he was in the hood, that's a no-no. That's definitely a no-no. And if not, I'm not mistaken, there was an actor, I can't remember his name, but he was carjacked on the highway, and the highway was not in the hood. Let's not forget, thieves, killers, all kind of criminals, many of them have cars, many of them know how to take public transportation, and many of them also know how to get on a plane. So if somebody wants to kill you, they will come for you. You don't have to, quote unquote, go in their neighborhood in order to get hurt. If they want you, they'll come after you. There was another actress a long time ago, too, who was on a very popular show, but I can't remember, unfortunately. It was a while back. She was a white lady with red hair. She was also killed. I believe she was killed in her home as well by a fan who, had some sort of mental issues. And that fan did not live in her neighborhood. That fan was not from the hood. Okay? So when I say if somebody is after another person for whatever reason it is, they will come for that person, especially celebrities. Celebrities do have a target on them, and celebrities really do have to be a little bit more careful than everybody else, no matter where they are, whether they're in the hood or they're not in the hood. You can't avoid. Many of us would like to avoid certain things from happening to us and our families, but unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in today. I'm here to give you guys a reality check. The other thing, too, as far as crime is concerned, let's also take a look at this. there is more reported crimes in certain neighborhoods, but then there's also unreported crimes. And because there are a lot of unreported crimes, we really don't know, it's really hard to say whether the suburbs have more unreported crimes than the city. The cities, of course, are going to have more crime, more reported crimes and more crimes in general because there's more people, right? But still, there's a lot of things that go unknown. For example, I know I was speaking to the police a couple years back. This was before the pandemic, right? There were certain events that was happening, particularly to my neighbor's house. So it was just me and my neighbor and a police officer. And they were saying that where we live, which is considered the hood, it's gentrified, of course. They said that they noticed that there was a decrease when it came to killings, homicides, and stealing, but there was an increase in domestic violence. And they were saying that in general, the crime rate really didn't go down. Certain crimes went down, but there were other crimes that actually went up, right? And that many of the new quote unquote people who came from the suburbs, they were actually suffering from domestic violence more so than the people who already lived here where I live. Now, I don't live in Philly, I live in New York City. But, it's pretty much, we're similar, okay? Philly is like the most 2 hours away from New York City. I can get on Amtrak and be there in an hour and 35 minutes normally, right? If the train is on time and everything goes according to plan, okay? Just letting you know. So, that's another point that I wanted to also bring out. A lot of times in the suburbs, things are hidden and pushed under the rug and people just don't know, right? And then another thing too, personally, I know that still have a family member that used to live up in the Bronx near Gun Hill Road. And back in the 70s and the 80s, that area was changing. There was more West Indians moving in, more Rastafarians moving in. And as some of you know, I come from a West Indian background. My aunt was a single parent mother. My cousin was being influenced by Rastafarians. She did not like it. So she packed them up and she went to Stony Brook, Long Island. Very suburban, okay? It's also, at that particular time, it was a white neighborhood, right? A predominantly white area. But guess what? My cousin got hooked on drugs out there. And he's gotten himself clean, then had relapses, gone back, etc., etc. But his addiction didn't start in the hood, in the Bronx, in New York City. It started where? In Long Island. Okay? So again, it's not always easy to escape certain negative things that are here in society. And I do believe, honestly, some people may be destined to fall into some of the negative traps that are out there because of how they're already pre-wired. That doesn't mean to say that they can't overcome, step up, and, eventually heal from it, get over it, and become more productive people. But to think that you're going to escape by going into certain neighborhoods, or if you're in certain neighborhoods, certain things are not going to happen to you. Get that out your brain because it could still happen. And if it doesn't happen to you, it may happen to your family. All right? There's but so much that you can do. There's but so much that you can control, especially when it comes to another individual. All right, guys? So that's what I wanted to leave you with. I want you guys to just know, listen, you got to be careful no matter where you go. Walk with God. That's what I believe in. And that's my motto. All right, guys? So peace to you all. Peace to the family. Again, my condolences. Guys, also feel free to share this amongst your friends, family, and everyone else when it is regarding crime. You can never really be too careful. And even sometimes when you are careful, God is the one that holds every one of us in his hands, you know? So anyway, that's all I have for you. Until next time, until the next episode. Good night.